You see, there are two ways God empowers a system. The first way is to mandate them to deploy kingdom principles, growing their faith, and thereby empowering them. This takes time, but this is the surest way of building spiritual systems. It has been the principle of God from time immemorial, and it will remain that way. A great man of God that I've followed for many years, so anointed, he works terrifically in the miraculous. From a very tender age, he started raising people from wheelchairs and organized crusades in different stadia all around the world. In fact, there was a time they started probing his meetings because they were thinking the people were not real human beings. They were just using graphics to make it look as if the crowd gathered, but they were real people. The authority on his life was too heavy. The anointing was too sharp. So people came from all around. And then some big organizations came to him and told him, we want to sponsor this thing you are doing. We will start by giving you a check of $1 million. All you need to do is put our logo on what you are doing. When you go for crusade, just put our flyers and logos around. That's all. And it was very good because he started with young people. In fact, he was under great attack. So much so that they were discouraging people from going to his church. So when you receive that kind of offer, it's a beautiful offer. I mean, the money will just be flowing. You go and pray, come and do miracles. And he was almost going to agree. And God told him, if you receive that money, your people will never be strong. That's not the kingdom way. Teach them to give, and they will become strong financially. And I will take the glory. And that was how he turned down that offer, began to teach his people the art of giving. And today, they are the most, if not the most, one of the most powerful ministries in the world that have international recognition, cutting across race, nation, and tribe. If he organizes a meeting today in Lagos, sometimes when you walk in, you think it's an American audience. He doesn't organize meeting and black people gather. No. And he has the strongest online audience in the world today, whether kingdom or outside kingdom. When he organizes online meetings, people register in hundreds of millions because he built them, and they do it from the place of rest. They can do anything from the place of rest because he taught them. They received it, they put it to work. It took time, but they became mighty. Now, that is God's strategy. And that's why God is asking me to teach these things. Don't worry, I won't ask you to give. No. You know, when God calls you, he creates insurance systems. So you don't come under pressure unless you are not following God. Because while you are here training the people, there's another system God uses. He said, your sons and your daughters will come from afar. He says, strangers will stand to build your walls. He said, you will suck the breast of kings. So many times, while you are training people, before they grow to begin to apply that word, God's assignment will still be moving. And many times, that assignment is sponsored by strangers. I can tell you today that 70 to 80% of the resources we use here, we don't know those who give for it. And they are not in this assembly. Very few people sitting here give. I just want you to understand that. I've never asked anybody here, support what we are doing. Not one soul here. And I can tell you, no need for that. But hear this. Why God is raising people, he puts burdens in the hearts of strangers. He says, strangers will stand to build your walls. He says, you will suck the breast of kings. Mighty people will hear you from afar. They don't have plans of coming to your church, sir. They just look at you and say, we like what you are doing. Take this. And they may never talk to you again. They may never come to the church again. They don't even want you to share the testimony. But you will not depend on that because they are what? Strangers. You have to build men that are not only giving for God's agenda, but become God's agents and agencies. Are we together? So this is not an attempt to put anybody under pressure. No. It's to give you light that will make you invincible in the last days. Because you will need it. I was teaching the other day about finances and visions. And I said, if you don't have money, you can't fulfill vision. A young man stood up and said, no. Jesus fulfilled vision by power. I said, no problem. You are still naive. When you start one, you will understand. You are talking now because you don't have a vision. When you start one, you will understand that power has different names. One of the names for power is finance. In Luke chapter 8 verse 3, the Bible said women. And some of them were widows. Jesus was taking money even from widows. Widows, women gave to sponsor Jesus' vision. Why did he take it? It's not because he needed it. It's because if he doesn't take it, they will not be empowered. Because what you cannot give, you can't receive. The capacity to receive is tied to your capacity to give. And that's why you see that universally, anybody that has authority in the corridor of finances is a giver to a very large extent. Even those who are not in the kingdom. Go and check most of the charity firms in the world. You will find that big philanthropists most of them are big givers. Because they understand that this principle is universal. When we teach it in the kingdom, we teach it from a different perspective. Because when we do ours, it's not necessarily because we are waiting to receive. It's just an attempt of putting our trust in God. And so tonight, I want to do a very, very brief teaching